Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Drinks and Deep Dive show. We had our 2-week break to catch our breath and do some updates to the show, like the new intro. We got some transitions, so check it out. Might be a little bumpy for the next couple of weeks, but forgive us if they go. We have a great show today. I got Jenny Bayless, who drove from the Springs today, to come hang out with us. And our deep dive is going to be into a townhouse she bought earlier this year. And actually, we're going to compare what her budgeted or her pro forma numbers were with her actuals through about the halfway year mark and update the spreadsheet and compare reality with what our pro forma is, because real estate investing is not an exact science. It has some squirreliness in there and no numbers are exactly the same. So we're going to talk about that. Jenny, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Chris?
Really good. I'm excited to do this.
Yeah, me too.
I appreciate you driving up too, so thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, so before we jump into that, we will jump into our factoid. All right, so our factoid here is actually from the Q2 Metro Denver vacancy and rent report. I thought it was a really neat graph that came out. So every quarter, the Metro Denver Apartment Association publishes their quarterly vacancy and rent report. And what has been really interesting to see is actually what the vacancy and rent has done. Now I'm going to zoom on this graph a little bit, which shows vacancy quarter over quarter. And normally this time of year, we'll see vacancy drop a little bit due to seasonality. But we went from, I just lost the number on there. We went from about a 5.5% vacancy to about a 3.5% vacancy. So around a 2% drop. Give or take a little bit. I guess exact is 5.5 to 3.7 vacancy. So almost a 2% drop, which is a lot. I mean, if you look at previous vacancy reports, it's usually bounced around between like high 4s to like high 5s. That's the band that kind of jumps around and based off seasonality. And then this last quarter, it just plummeted from 5.5 to 3.7%, which also means rents jumped up too. Because lower vacancy, that pushes up rents, that's how supply and demand works. Last quarter, rents were about $1,540. Now they're about $1,650. So about $100, actually over $100 price jump in rents on there. So what does this mean for landlords out there? Well, I take this as another reason it's still a good time to buy. Yes, we've seen housing prices just go through the roof the last year, and now we're starting to see rents go up. And I mean, for months, you and I have been talking to clients, looking at our properties, and we've seen rents consistently go higher than we expected.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're starting to see data that actually supports other than just, what we're doing in the trenches.
Exactly. Yep. And then for Colorado Springs, pretty much the same, just on a smaller scale. Average monthly rent jumped to $1,430 from prior quarter, $1,333.
Say that again. What are the numbers?
$1,430 and $1,333. So almost $100 in one quarter, which is outrageous to me. And then same thing with vacancy. It went from 5% to 4.4%.
Oh, so very similar numbers and trends. And that's, what we talk about, just whatever one market does, the other one's going to be about the same, at least in the recent memory.
Exactly.
All right. So on this, great sign for rents and vacancy. And I've also seen other news items talking about how a lot more people are renting now versus buying, just because what home prices has done. So if you're an investor out there, I bought a property this year, Jenny bought a property this year, long term, still makes sense to buy properties. And here's just more data to support it.
Exactly.
All right. Let's go into our deep dive. All right, so on our screen right now, we've actually got two spreadsheets. The left-hand side is the budget, and this is when Jenny bought this townhome earlier this year in January.
Mm-hmm.
And the right-hand side is going to be, it's the same copy of the spreadsheet, but we can actually come up here and update it with numbers of actual numbers throughout this year. So Jenny, before we dive into the numbers, give everyone context on the townhouse, like just basic numbers, basic strategy, all that stuff.
Yeah. So if you guys remember from a couple months ago, I had some clients that actually found this new build townhome community that was going up, helped them run the numbers. And I said, hey, you know what? These are pretty good. I would like to buy the one next to you guys. So that's kind of how that came to be. But just it's in Security Widefield, which I know we've talked about a lot. It's the, realtor.com's hottest zip code last year. So I just knew that there's a lot going for it in the sense that it's a new build, so less headaches on my part, hopefully. It's in a hot area, so hopefully that means, less vacancy, people wanting to rent it. It's just a nice property and a nice community. So just I thought it was going to be kind of like decent, but it's actually proven to be really good, better than expectations.
All right. And so you bought this, you closed on this in early January, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you got renters in there.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time they were paying $16.95.
1695, and we
Okay.
put them on a 6-month lease. They were military and they wanted to buy a home, but didn't have a home to move into when they came here. They wanted to get their bearings straight. So we said, yeah, 6 months, that's pretty good, because we wanted to be on the summer cycle, and we try to get all of our properties on a summer cycle. So it's kind of a win-win.
Tell
So
people why.
because there's just more people looking for homes, so you're going to have greater demand, so you're going to have a better pool of applicants, better opportunity to raise rents a little bit. It's just, yeah, a more opportune time to rent a property.
Agreed. So we were debating before this how the best way to populate the spreadsheets, because Jenny did export from her QuickBooks account to keep her records, her bookkeeping for this property here. Export a 7-month P&L. So this would be what, January through end of July, if I can do my math right? Or actually, you explain it.
Yeah, so I just I bought the home middle of January, so it's technically, I guess, mid-January through mid-August today. So that's 7 months ish. So we can just kind of talk about actuals year to date, and then we can extrapolate out, to kind of guess. It's like a mixture of actual budget, for the remainder of this year,
Okay.
compared to what we had originally anticipated.
So you guys are going to hear us do some math, probably make a mistake or two.
Yep.
But this is reality. Like, hey, we all have our night. Hey, we're buying a property. We close on. Here's our pro forma. And then 6 months, a year later, you get reality.
Yeah.
And that data is never automatically populated in the spreadsheet. So how do you start tracking things? And this is just a very simple way. So we're going to go through this as a long-term townhome rental. You put 25% down on, purchase for just under $250,000, all in at $70,000, interest rate at 3.125%. Nothing of that has changed because those are your acquisition costs from earlier this year. Rent when you purchased it was $16.95. That's what you were expecting, right? Too, when you purchased it?
No, I was expecting $15.95.
So you even had a rent bump then. So you were originally expecting $15.95. Yep. And that's how you originally underwrote it?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we got $16.95 for the 6 months. And we are currently renting it out now for $18.25.
So original
$18.25, yeah.
We're going to make some notes on your actual $16.95. So on this, sorry, I'm going back on this budget one. Shouldn't we put this to $15.95 since that's originally expected?
I think by the time we recorded it, I think I had someone in there.
Okay. Now $18.25 for July. All right. So monthly rental income. Well, this is still a 1 unit. So what's the best way to do? I guess we just blend those two rental rates?
Yeah. I mean, it would be kind of pennies at that point, if we worry about the 2 weeks that I didn't own the property for the year, because there's no vacancy between July and August.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, so we'll take $16.95, and you said $18.25. Mm-hmm. So basically 6 months and 6 months. So we're just going to take the average of the two, which is $17.60, and I'll give us a more accurate picture for the year. Mm-hmm. Vacancy of at 3%. I mean,
0.
Do you put that at 0 as the actual? Mm-hmm. Rent increase, annual appreciation rate, that doesn't really matter. Property management is still a no.
Correct.
And now we get to monthly reserves, which is always a percentage we use, which that's not how, QuickBooks and statements from property managers work.
Yeah.
So now going back to your QuickBooks export here, walk us through these expenses, and we'll start, figuring them out and putting them in the right place.
Yeah. So, this is kind of what Chris alluded to earlier, where things get a little squirrely and they don't, exactly perfectly aligned to what we're trying to assign costs to and trying to assign categories to at the beginning. So basically, this is a snapshot of everything that we have paid for this property to date since we've owned it, other than all the closing costs. So we have advertising and marketing for about 130, cleaning and maintenance. That's while the other tenants left, and then making new keys for them, just really small things like that. 160 for the year. I don't anticipate either of those two costs changing for the remainder of the year. Homeowner association dues, that's 115 a month. So that will continue on through the rest of the year. Insurance, I paid it all up front at closing. So that was 870 plus, it gets escrowed every month, but I only expense it once it gets paid out.
Okay.
And then we'll skip mortgage interest for now because the spreadsheet calculates all that. Office supplies and software, 1556. That's literally just me allocating a percentage of my monthly QuickBooks subscription. Yeah, so it's very, very nominal. Taxes, I have not paid any taxes because we always pay in arrears. So I haven't paid any property taxes for this property yet. I will do that next year. And then utilities, it was $12 for a few days of vacancy when we bought the property.
All right. So then for maintenance, I guess maintenance would include cleaning and maintenance.
Yeah.
And that's at $160 year to date, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so where would you... So actually, let's make this simple. I'm going to put... Actually, we'll keep it percentage-wise.
Yeah.
So 160, and this is over 6 months or 7 months?
7.
Okay, so we're going to take that 160, divide by 7. Give this... We're going to round up to $23 a month.
Okay.
So $23 a month times 12 is $273 a year.
See, this is where it's interesting, though, because I don't anticipate any cleaning necessarily, but anything could break between now and then. And we don't have a basis for stuff breaking to be able to extrapolate that. Plus the fact it's under a warranty from the builder for the first year. So there's all sorts of weird things at play in this
How do you want to put in the spreadsheet then?
That sounds good to me. 273
Point out
sounds
the issues,
good to me.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the thing, is there's just no true way. I mean, even if you have 7 months of actuals, there's no way of figuring out the remainder of the year, is the point I'm trying to make for that.
So should we turn 273 into percent? I vote no.
Nah.
Because I don't want to do... I try to minimize math while we're live.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just put the monthly maintenance reserves to 0%. To keep that simple, I'm going to come down to the additional annual expenses and just put in cleaning and maintenance. And we said 273.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So put that there, 0%, 273 there. And then for advertising marketing,
I think pretty much one and done on that.
Should we... We'll still put that in here, but we won't annualize it?
Yeah.
Okay. So 130, and that's just the actual year to date.
Mm-hmm.
Your homeowner's insurance, or I'm sorry, HOA dues, 115 a month. That's actual, and that's the same.
Yep.
Your property insurance. So you have it listed at $700 for annual property insurance,
mm-hmm.
but you've paid $870 for the year so far.
Mm-hmm.
What... Did your insurance go up?
Some of it is me allocating a portion of our umbrella insurance that we do for all of our properties on a per property basis as well. So that's pretty much where the difference is there.
Do you... random question. Do you have is this just your personal umbrella, or do you have like a separate rental umbrella?
Rental umbrella.
You have a rental umbrella?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of...
Why do you have that?
Paranoid.
Is that just another layer?
Just so I can sleep at night.
And that just gives you better protection, like a personal umbrella?
Yep.
So do you have both a rental umbrella and a personal umbrella?
Well, no, I actually have... Let's see. We have all of our rental properties under one umbrella. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Bill, the insurance agent that we had on the podcast a little while back, he set that up for us.
Okay.
But yep.
Okay.
Yep. Just so that people can't come after us for other assets that we own and all that good stuff. So.
Yeah. So what do you want to put in here for insurance? I'm not the way you've allocated. I'm not what's the best way to
I
do it
think 870 is fair
for
for
the
the
year?
year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna update it a little bit to include the umbrella. Your taxes. I mean, this do we keep it at 0? Do we keep it?
I mean, I don't know. It is kind of a little bonus that I get for buying a new build, I guess, for the first year. I mean, I'll have to pay it if we ever sell it, since, the way that taxes are structured. But
Well, since we're doing actual, just put that at
yeah,
0.
okay.
We'll come back and play with it.
Kick the can down the road on
Yeah.
that. So,
Utilities, we'll put $12 for the year.
yep.
Keep it in there. Your office expenses,
Yeah, those we can,
we'll just
we
put
can
that.
extrapolate that.
Yeah, so $30, basically $30 for the
Yeah.
year for office. All right, so I think we have everything updated. We updated the rental income. We blended the two
Mm-hmm.
of the 1695 and the 1825. And so one ended July 31st, the other one started August 1st.
Correct.
So true 0 vacancy.
Mm-hmm.
No property management. We bumped the monthly reserves down to 0% because then we factored in the actual expenses down in the lower part of the spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
HOA is at 115, taxes 0, but you'll pay those next year.
Yep.
Insurance about $780 for the year. Water or utilities $12. Landscape or office supplies $30. Cleaning and maintenance $273. That's replacing the percent we did up there. And advertising $130.
Mm-hmm.
So when you originally, I'm flipping back to the spreadsheet now. When you originally purchased it, you were estimating about $5,800 a year in cash flow with an 8.3% cash on cash return and a 6.2% cap rate. So great numbers.
Yeah.
So before we'll do our drum roll here. Before we go to the actual, think it'll be higher or lower?
I'm going to go with higher.
That's what I'm going to do. So cash flow for the actual is now $8,900. So that is $4,000 more. Cash on cash is 12.7, so about 4%, 4.5% higher, with a cap rate about 1.2% higher. So pretty significant numbers on there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're pissed off at this, right?
Oh yeah, it's the worst property ever.
You should just get rid of this and sell it.
Right. You should say I'll just sell it to you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep it simple, even better.
No, I know. I wish that I had bought more of these. Had hindsight's 2020, but yeah, I'm really happy with this one. And then just kind of one of the things that we wrestle with in terms of the maintenance reserves and all that is my rule of thumb is I try to take a third of the cash flow and put that aside. So if we're talking $9,000 after mortgage, 3,000 would go in my kitty for that.
Okay.
So
that's definitely a rounding up some, and that's just to keep it simple and stay conservative.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So with this, now let's take a step back because this is great. And even if we go in there and factor in, hey, we have taxes of $1,200 for the year that you'll pay next year, you're still cash flowing $3,000 more than you originally expected.
Yeah.
So a great benefit here. So let's take this and how does this apply to clients who recently bought or clients who are going to buy right now? Like what are the key takeaways people can learn from you?
Yeah. So this is an example of when things go pleasantly in one direction. I've bought properties where I'm not quite saying the same thing. So it's just kind of keep in mind that this is just meant to be a model. It's meant to be a long-term prediction of, over the course of holding this property for many, many years. This is typically what you can expect on an annual basis. Doesn't necessarily mean that in 2021 I'm going to get exactly X dollars a year. This is just kind of a guideline as to make your decisions off of. Some years are going to be good, some years are going to be bad. I'm well aware of that. So I think just kind of keeping that in mind, keeping the fact that that's great, I'm making quite a good chunk of change on this property. My strategy is to hold this property for the long run, and that's kind of I'll have good years, I'll have bad years, and just keeping it all in stride.
Okay. Now, I got a couple of questions for you on here because I know months ago you mentioned that hey, your tenants were going to move out, and you were considering
Mm-hmm.
medium term rental
Yeah.
because you that's recently right around the same time we did that medium term rental podcast with Diana,
Yep.
and just some phenomenal numbers down there.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you not go medium term rental?
That is a great question. I'm glad that you answered that because I know a lot of people ask me the same question. I am quite tired. And I know I've said that before, but it's like, juggling all of my rentals, family, work, that sort of thing. To me, the difference in return like is not worth the difference in my time
Mm-hmm.
involvement. And for me to have a really great tenant that's in there right now, she's, in the home, that is fantastic. I don't have to worry about it. So that's kind of where that is. My mental energy is not worth, I guess, a little bit more money each month.
Well, mental and probably actual time as well,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So, what was the rough like? What did you budget for like if you turned to medium rental? Like, is that what was the upfront investment for furnishing it?
I used the same, when I was looking at it, I used the same guidelines that Diana used when we walked through that example, um, since she has a property in that same complex. So I was able to just kind of go off of that. I think it was like 12 to 16K up front.
Okay, so we'll say
So
about 15,000.
yeah, so that's another significant outlay of
Yeah,
cash that,
it's a lot of money.
yeah, for, I mean, obviously the yearly return's better, but it's still going to take, a few years to recoup the additional initial outlay.
And how much more cash flow do you remember? We won't go through all the
Mm,
expenses, but like, do you
I don't
remember?
remember. I think it does 15 sound about right
I
for.
have
Okay,
no, yeah.
yeah, I couldn't tell you, but I think I remember it taking about like 2 or so years to pay off the initial upfront. So that's kind of where my choice was on that. Just kind of where I'm at in life right now.
Okay.
Yep.
So what about $15,000 upfront investment,
Mhm.
about 15,000 in cash flow,
Mhm.
versus this scenario, which was zero in initial investment, just your
Mhm.
typical turn cost, and about 9,000 cash flow. So basically $6,000 difference in cash flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with not going medium term rental. Like, I mean, those are strong numbers, but I know you got a young daughter at home. Like, it's busy with everything between that and work. Like, the
Mhm.
6,000 extra plus the upfront, I don't think it's worth it.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, if you had asked me this question like 5, 6 years ago, I would totally be doing that because I would just have more capacity for
Yep.
it. Yeah. And I would want to realize those additional returns for sure.
No. So my other question on here for you is, I know a lot of people they see these numbers, even just either spreadsheet, the original, they like townhomes a lot.
Yeah.
New build townhomes, at least here in Denver, we're out months.
Mm-hmm.
Um, more places are selling less to investors.
Yep.
What's it like down in the Springs?
Same thing. This particular neighborhood, they have an investor cap as well. Because
Do you know like what percent?
two per investor. So I guess technically it could be sold
Oh, but you're
to.
saying two townhomes per investor?
Yes.
Oh, there's no like certain amount. Oh, we're only selling
Correct.
10% of our inventory to.
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah. So this one's more forgiving. There are some I've asked around. There are a couple on the north end of town that are super nice townhomes. Hey, do you guys offer to investors? Absolutely not. So I think it's harder to come across them if you want to operate them as a rental for sure, just because of where we're at, with housing and
oh
everything.
yeah.
They want to make it available to homeowners first. So just something to be mindful of for sure.
Which is interesting because I mean, regardless, someone's living there,
Yeah,
and it's either a
exactly.
homeowner or
Or a
a
tenant.
tenant. Like
Yeah.
it's still a home.
Someone
Like
needs to live
yeah.
there. So yeah, I do find that interesting as well.
But I
So
imagine from their perspective, and the PR perspective, selling to homeowners
sounds
looks
better.
much better in the
Yeah.
headline than selling to investors.
Yes.
And
But
therefore it wins.
yeah, but you need to think of the next step too, that there's a family living in that home. It's not
Yeah.
like sitting vacant and,
Yeah.
collecting dust sort of thing.
So does this complex, my last question, does this complex have more new builds that investors can buy?
No.
No.
So they are closing out They're closing out this complex. They're going to start a new complex on the east side of town. I've asked the sales agent, please, please, please call me. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how their rules may or may not change.
So it's a totally different complex, not a different phase, but
correct.
A different complex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if people are interested, they should just reach out to you, and I mean, you keep up to date with all the builders and complexes, right?
Exactly. Cool. Yeah. I might not have any information, but we'll see where we're at. Yep.
Wonderful. All right, Jenny. Well, this is great to see. Congrats, by the way. This is
Thank you.
A stellar property.
Thanks.
I'm just a wee bit jealous, but this is awesome. Any closing comments or thoughts?
No, just just don't stick to your numbers too hard, I guess, if that makes sense. And know that it will go either way, and it will go either way on the same property. So, this one will have its downs. I know of that. So it's just kind of take the wins while you can, and then take the losses in stride.
I have to say, I think "don't stick to your numbers" is an extra powerful phrase coming from a CPA,
right?
And you're very numbers oriented and very detailed, which is great.
Yeah.
But then you can balance out like, hey, this is reality.
Yeah, things will
Doesn't
happen.
look good on a spreadsheet.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Things will happen. So
awesome. Well, Jenny, this has been great. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube podcast. Leave us comments. Give us ideas for future episodes. If you have additional questions on here, leave in the comments or email us. We'll always answer those. We love the interaction, so don't be shy. And if you have additional ideas for our deep dives, let us know. We did come off our 2-week break. We updated the show. We're getting a lot more guests lined up. So we got lots of fun topics coming to you. We'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.